Hey guys, it's me Maro, and today we're going to be going back to Godzilla, since for the past couple of actual videos that I've been making, I've been pretty distant from the Big G. My last Godzilla related video or review was of the Hiya toy Scylla, and in that video I gave my appreciation for the unique monster designs in the Monsterverse. We got the larger roster of characters introducing King of the Monsters, and it was just a really nice way to expand the cast from the main 6 characters. As this title suggests, this time we'll be moving away from the spider crab thing and take a look at another unique monster, but this time it'll be of the great Brazilian forest king, Behemoth. Behemoth was introduced in Godzilla King of the Monsters, and just like Scylla, he is a unique monster that has not appeared in any other era. He's like a mix between like a woolly mammoth and a sloth, so overall he has such a striking appearance and I really do like the look of him. Even though Behemoth is a pretty cool looking monster, there's kind of an issue with him. You see, Behemoth actually had a very short amount of runtime in King of the Monsters. At most, he got like 3 scenes, and just for the most part, it was just kind of him walking. It definitely makes him look pretty big and menacing, which is pretty cool, but as a kaiju as unique to Godzilla as he is, he doesn't really do a whole lot. Basically, what I'm getting at is that Behemoth is a really cool kaiju, but unlike someone like the Mutos, Scylla, and Tiamat, because of the lack of him in the movies, it's hard for me to really appreciate him all that much. It is always nice to keep a big mystery for characters and all that, but too much of it and then you get confused on like who he is. It's a little underwhelming with the character, and it's especially underwhelming with the fact that like we have no merch of him. Ever since King of the Monsters came out, we kinda had nothing for Behemoth. And it only was until last year that we finally got a piece of merch for the Big Mammoth, that being a figure from Hiya Toys. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was cool, but in my mind, I wasn't really that blown away. But just recently he came out and I decided to pick him up, in which for today's video, I will be reviewing the Hiya Toys Behemoth from Godzilla King of the Monsters. I've kinda already explained everything you need to know about who Behemoth is. He's a big mammoth kaiju who originated in the Monsterverse, and, he lives in Brazil. You all voted this to be my next review, so let's not waste any more time and start with the box that this figure comes in. The box Behemoth comes in is actually pretty cool looking. It's a direct reference to the first time we see him destroying a city in King of the Monsters, and I really like how they made him look very big and intimidating. I also like the nice touch of making his name green on the box, since, you know, like trees and shit. Other than that, it's pretty much a standard Hiya box with images all around it. However, one big difference is actually the dimensions of this box. If I take the Hiya Toy Scylla box here and compare it with Behemoth's, you can actually see that Scylla's box is taller, but Behemoth's box is very wide. It's to the point it's almost a cube, and I don't know why, but I kinda like it like that. But yeah, his box is pretty cool looking. But now, let's move this out of the way since it's now time to bring out the actual figure. And dude, oh my god! The painting and sculpting on Behemoth here is really good! We've only had a couple looks of who this guy was in King of the Monsters, and because of that, I didn't really get like too attached with the character. But with this figure in hand, I can now fully appreciate this design in all aspects. And I think it's just best to start with the sculpt with it. The sculpt here on Behemoth is very good. His entire body is sculpted with this hairy texture, similar to what we've seen with Kong. The arms on Behemoth are really big. Out of most characters in the Godzilla franchise made so far, Behemoth has one of the largest arms, which is pretty cool. Moving down, his hands are made to resemble sloth hands, so we got curled up fingers with little spikes at the end, and, well, actually, if this guy is a kaiju, I don't know if I would really consider these to be little. In comparison, his back legs are very small looking. Like, most of the weight is clearly in the upper body and arms. Once again, they are sculpted very well, and the feet here are made to look like elephant feet. I forgot to mention it, but the back of the body has some spine details, so that's pretty cool. But it's now time to move up the body and look at the most iconic part of this design, that being the head. The head on Behemoth looks awesome. It's really cool seeing a design like this while having characteristics of some other animals, while still looking different enough where I still can't really tell what the face is supposed to be. It looks very accurate to the movie, since it has that old appearance to the figure. The texture on the face is very interesting, having lots of little wrinkles to add to the old look, and I just realized if you look under the head, you can see Behemoth's mouth. Weird. Then we got Behemoth's tusks. The tusks are sculpted very well, looking like bone and even having some vine detail. One little detail I actually really like here is that the two tusks here, they're actually kind of uneven. So it looks like perhaps one of the tusks broke off and at one point in it regrew, so now it's slightly smaller than the other one, and I like that. Overall, the sculpt on Behemoth here is pretty good. You got all sorts of detail that not only makes the character look very accurate to the movie, but for me, it makes me appreciate the design even more. But will I still get that feeling when we get to the paint? The paint on Behemoth is pretty decent. Most of the body is covered in this mud brown color, and overall it looks pretty good. Although from what it looks like, we don't really have any shading or lighting besides the spine areas and hands and feet. Basically, you're mostly going to get one color for the body. But when moving to the head, now we got some color differences. The face is painted in this lighter brown color, and with the shine of the paint added with the sculpted details, you get a lot of lighting and bumps with the wrinkles, which it looks really, really awesome. The eyes on Behemoth are pretty good looking. They are painted red, in which I guess that's accurate? It's a bit hard to tell since, again, we only had 3 scenes of him. Anyways, they're looking straight down at you, and Jesus Christ, it's kind of terrifying. Wait, I just said Jesus Christ. Oh my god, I worship the devil. I said Jesus Christ. I can't believe I identify as someone worse than can I say Hitler in my videos? Oh yeah, by the way, MBYT lied about stuff I said. If he doesn't decide to take accountability, I'm gonna make a video on him. Back to Behemoth. Final thing to look over are these tusks. They're painted in this bone white color and have some slight browns to act as lighting and shading here. And along with that, we got this mossy green color for the little painted plant things on here. Overall, the paint on this figure is pretty good. It's nothing too popping or whatever, and in all honesty, it's kind of basic. But Behemoth didn't really get shown that much in the movie, so taking guesses based on TV screens and Boston on Fire, it looks good, okay? Again, I've mentioned it earlier, this figure looks really good that it really makes me appreciate the design a lot more than before. The fact that I can actually look at this character in all of its glory in so many different angles, it's really nice when considering we basically have nothing for this guy besides those couple of scenes in King of the Monsters. Again, all he really did was just walk around. But walking around is kinda lame. I'm more of a running guy. So can we do more with Behemoth and make him do a lot more, cool shit? Well, let's find out when we get to the articulation. First, the head is on a ball joint, but because of the way it's sculpted in, you can kind of only really get a shift up and down at the head and get a side-to-side movement. It is a little bit limited, but it does the job right. The neck can rotate up and down, and thankfully it is strong enough to hold up the head with its tusks. The arm is on a ball joint, a double bend at the elbow, and a ball joint at the hand. I would have preferred if the fingers were articulated because, little side note, we just got shown stuff at San Diego Comic-Con with the Hiya toy stuff. Fucking Mechagodzilla has articulated toes, which is really, really cool. And I'll get back to that in a little bit more because I have some stuff I want to mention, but let's continue with the articulation. The body is on one big ball joint that can only really move around a bit. The leg is on a ball joint, a bend at the knee, a ball joint at the calf, I think, and finally, a ball joint at the foot. And honestly, a pretty damn good one. The posability for Behemoth here is kinda insane. Considering that all he did in the movie was walk around and stuff, to see him pull off cool poses like this, and even this, that's actually insane. Also, considering that he's pretty heavy, it's surprising that he can pull off these poses. While yeah, he is technically less posable than Evolve Godzilla or Scylla, the fact that he could do way more than what was shown in the movie is just really cool. Speaking of stuff that wasn't shown or whatever, it's time to look at Behemoth's accessories. So Behemoth comes with nothing. Fuck! Okay. So instead of me yelling and complaining, I originally wrote in the script that what if Behemoth came with buildings and stuff like that, because that would be really cool to have since But this is where we're gonna go back to the San Diego Comic-Con talk I had a couple minutes ago, because I want to direct my attention to Kaiju Canuck. So Kaiju Canuck is this Godzilla YouTuber basically. I think he reviews some other stuff or does some other stuff, I don't know. Just recently, he had a interview with people at Hiya Toys, the representative at the marketing team and all that, in which we actually got some answers to some questions that a lot of us have been wondering. For instance, Mechagodzilla and why he's still not out, what figures are going to be coming next. But the more important thing is that the question of buildings for accessories for figures was brought up, in which it was said that they can't make buildings without actually getting the licensing to buildings. So sadly, even though it would be really cool to have buildings as accessories that you can build up as you build your collection, it makes sense why, I guess, that they can't make buildings, because they would need to get the rights to them. So yeah. Well, let's just move away from this and let's get to some size comparisons. Here he is next to the Neander's Nendroid, my previous review, the Figma Skull Knight, the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2019, the Hiya Toys Rodan 2019, and finally, here he is next to the Hiya Toys Scylla from Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. God damn, these two look awesome together! Seeing these MonsterVerse original Titans together is just such a treat to me, to be honest. And now with this, we actually almost have all the characters for the final roar shot from King of the Monsters. All we need now is that Queen Muto to come out, and a Methuselah figure. And he's finally out of court now, so there's a chance that we can actually get one. Now it's time to look over the price. And just like every standard size Hiya figure, he is $50. And honestly, I think it's a solid price for him. He is overall a pretty big figure that looks very accurate and has a lot of articulation, and scales well with all your other Godzilla figures. But I still say that he should probably come with stuff. But for what we got with this figure, $50 seems pretty good. So overall, my final thoughts on this figure should be pretty obvious. I really like this figure. Again, before this figure was even shown or came out or anything like that, I didn't really have that much appreciation for Behemoth as a character. I thought his design was cool and all, but other than that, what did he do? But the fact that this figure is pretty affordable, has quite a bit of articulation, and looks very accurate to the movie, it just made me love the character all the much more. If it wasn't for the lack of accessories, he would most definitely get a very high score, but because of what we have right now, I will be giving the Hiya Toys Behemoth a 7.5 out of 10. If you are a fan of the MonsterVerse and its original Titans, I highly recommend picking up this figure. Well, that's about it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. This video is a little bit on the shorter side, but I guess that's what you get for, talking about a simple figure like Behemoth. You all voted this to be my next review after the Figma Skull Knight. And because I want to stick to tradition and all that, and follow what you guys say of who should be next to review, it is going to be the case that my next review after this one is going to be of the SH Gamera from Gamera 2 Attack of Legion. That's right, guys, my first SH Monster Arts review. For the amount of times that I've shat on this figure line for many, many reasons, I'm finally going to be talking about an SH figure on this channel. But because barely no one voted for the Blockies Unit 1 or the Figma Mari to be, my next review, I decided that after Gamera, I'm not going to review those two figures. I'm going to review my newest figure in my collection. My next review after the SH Gamera is going to be of the Hiya Toys Monster X from Godzilla Final Wars. So stay tuned for that when that comes out, because just saying, I got a lot to say about those figures. But until then, thank you all for watching and sticking around, and I will see you guys in the next video. See you later.